For the longest time, MMA has been generally dominated by Brazilians. After all, Brazil's legendary Gracie family is a major cornerstone of the sport. Their stranglehold over the MMA scene has only been solidified by dominant champions like Anderson Silva, Jose Aldo, and one-of-a-kind fighters such as Junior Dos Santos and Lyoto Machida. In today's landscape, Brazil is still one of the most dominant nations when it comes to cage fighting, but over the past few years, two other domains have also stood out in terms of overall success in the sport: the continent of Africa and the Caucasus region of Russia. There has been an African invasion in the UFC in recent years, led by Africa's three kings: UFC heavyweight champion Francis Ngannou, middleweight title holder Israel Adesanya, and pound-for-pound king Kamaru Usman. Think of them as House Targaryen in Game of Thrones, a nation that rules by blood and firepower, riding on the back of a three-headed beast. And much like the Dragon Lord of old Valyria, the African trio took to the UFC by storm and took what's theirs by force. In this scenario, Usman is undeniably the king. He is, after all, the #1 pound-for-pound fighter in the world whose claim to the status of greatest of all time is getting more and more convincing each time he goes to battle. Adesanya is the hand of the king. He may not be the most powerful man in the realm, but he's still pretty damn close to it. He's just like anyone who's second in command. He might have the biggest chance of dethroning the king. That's if they go on a full-on civil war, of course, but that doesn't seem to be a possibility based on Usman's comments. Meanwhile, Ngannou is the master of war. He may not be as well-rounded as the other two African stars, but he's the most feared out of all of them. The Predator has eliminated some of his biggest rivals by sheer power and force, and now that he apparently has learned how to wrestle, it's difficult to imagine anyone unseating Ngannou from the heavyweight throne anytime soon. As dominant as Africa has been, the future likely belongs to the Russians. Going back to the Game of Thrones analogy, the mountain men of the Caucasus region are House Baratheon. Fast-rising and hungry for success, they are ready to mount a rebellion and take the throne for themselves, and we might not have to wait long to see them make their first move. Lest we forget, a huge segment of fans still reign on Pyo-ter as the undisputed best bantamweight in the world. In a few months, No Mercy could reclaim the 135-pound title and bring UFC gold back home to Russia. Islam Makhachev has also been talked about as the second coming of Khabib Nurmagomedov. Makhachev has long been the understudy of the Eagle, and his 9-fight winning streak is a good indication that he's destined for UFC greatness, much like his predecessor. The single biggest rising star out of Russia is none other than Khamzat Chimaev. Arguably one of the most promising prospects in the UFC, Chimaev is Robert Baratheon. A fearsome presence on the battlefield, this man has the makings of a future king. Boers may only have 4 UFC wins under his belt, but according to him, he's ready to take down both Usman and Adesanya and rule the two divisions by himself. Judging by his recent string of victories, there's no reason to believe that Chimaev can't accomplish such a feat. But wait, there's more. Russia has an embarrassment of riches when it comes to top-notch UFC contenders. Another future contender from the region is Shavkat Rakhmonov, who's from Kazakhstan, but is a homegrown product of the Russian MMA scene. Not to mention that he also speaks the language, so it's safe to say that a victory for the Nomad is a victory for Russia as well. On top of that, light heavyweight standout Magomed Ankalaev and the #2 ranked flyweight Askar Askarov are flying under the radar. These two Russians who could conceivably capture a title in the near future, especially Askarov, who could fight for the flyweight crown in a matter of months. Now that the table is set for a showdown between the best fighters from Africa and Russia, it's only a matter of time before we find out which nation will take over the MMA world. They say that no one really wins in a warfare, but I think we can all agree in this one. The real winners are us, the ever-loyal MMA fans. And that will do it for our video. As always, don't forget to like and share our videos if you enjoyed them. See you in the next one.